We are Mastering Motherhood.
It's gonna be good, it's gonna be great. You and me, oh, I can't wait. It's gonna be fun, a beautiful day. All of us, let's celebrate, let's
Good morning, mamas. Happy Mastering Motherhood Day. Good job. I won't make you repeat that. So, it's a beautiful day today, finally. Yesterday, we all got blown away. Wasn't that win something? Unbelievable. So, how many of you are doing the Hallmark scavenger hunt? I know one person who is because I saw her on Facebook this morning. They are old ones? Oh, wow. Look at you. Well, I think we've all probably been to a few of the places anyway. If you've been to Mystic, if you've been to the Carousel. So, is anybody else doing it besides Amanda? Oh, Jennifer's doing it. Good. So, okay. She had some cute pictures on Facebook this morning. So, also, our church is having a ladies' tea and luncheon. It's called Springing into Action. So, we have some flyers out there if we'd like to invite you all to come. It's on May 4th from 11:30 to 2. And it's very pretty, very fancy when we do it. We have all china teacups, and it's just fun. Last year, some of the ladies wore hats. So if you like to dress up, you can come and dress up. What else? So at our family book craft is coming up on Sunday, March 24th at 2 p.m. So please make sure you sign up. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And just want to remind you of that. Laura Kewen is with us today, and she has a book here. It's called More Than a Conqueror. And I just bought it for my grandson. So it's on the back table after she speaks. If you want to go back, maybe she'll take some questions, and you can buy the book if you're interested or just look at it. Okay. So our leadership who's doing the gift giveaway is Joanna. So if you want to come up, Joanna. This for you.
Good morning. It's going to be daffodil season, and I just love it. I also got this book, Stuff I'd Only Tell God. I got one for me and one for a friend. And I put inside one of my favorite things I ever got here. It's basically a love letter from the Bible. It's beautiful. But you might find it inspirational. And I made some flourless peanut butter chocolate chip cookies. And I'm thinking the lab we use feels really guilty about how much they charge us because we have like 20 of these at home. So there's some milk chocolate bars. They say Phoenix Environmental Labs on them. They didn't put anything in them that they got. They bought these fresh. All right. So if you haven't won anything recently, please stand up. And If you think that you'll use this book, or maybe you want to get it for a friend, stay standing. When I was a kid, they had commercials on TV where this really good-looking guy holding an open jar of peanut butter would run into this really good-looking girl holding a candy bar. And they'd say, "You got chocolate in my peanut butter. You got peanut butter on my chocolate." And then the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup was born. So if you think that candy is far superior to like Jolly Ranchers or Fruity Things or even the Milky Way bar, stay standing. And if daffodils are your favorite flower or one of your favorite flowers, stay standing. No one likes daffodils? I feel betrayed. Oh, good. Stuff I'd Only Tell God by Jennifer Lee. She was one of our guest speakers.
She was?
She's also one of our book people. Online.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Enjoy.
Oh, I forgot. Don't make out your blue tickets for the grand prize giveaway at the end. And don't forget, the person who does the most Hallmark locations is going to get a gift card. So that might be an incentive to get out with your family in the beautiful spring weather coming up. And the rain's going around. Okay, while she's doing that, we have Laura Kewen with us today, and I've known her for years, and I love her. Laura is a licensed clinical social worker who offers individual therapy to women and moms across Connecticut. She is passionate about helping her clients overcome anxiety, navigate life transitions, and become more confident in their parenting. She is the founder of Cornerstones for Parents, an online resource for Christian moms and dads with articles and tools on a variety of topics. She is also the author of More Than a Conqueror, a Christian Kid's Guide to Winning the War on Worry. That's this book I showed you. An interactive workbook for older elementary kids struggling with anxiety. Laura is married with 2 children, loves to garden, cook from scratch, and read. She enjoys a warm cup of tea, strolling through antique stores, and spending time with family and friends. I remember when you were building your house, Laura, it was what do they call it? A reproduction of what kind of house? Greek revival. Yes, I remember her talking about it. So now her husband's redoing the bathroom already. That's how long it's been. Oh, wow. Okay, Miss Laura.
Hey, everybody. It's really great to be here again and see you all. Second, I want to get myself organized. So the topic I wanted to share with you all today is 10 tips to help your kids with big feelings. And I realize that's kind of an ambitious thing to do in a 15-minute talk. So this is just sort of an overview, kind of a bird's eye view, and you can take what you want and leave the rest. But if you are interested in learning about any of the 10 tips on your table, the table talk questions, there's a QR code that will take you to a page on my website that has all of these 10 tips plus additional resources for each one if you want to dig a little deeper. I also want to say that I'm aware that we are living in an environment where there is information overload for parents, and there's social media, there's podcasts, there's books, there's talks like this, and I am acutely aware that I don't want to add to your feeling of inadequacy or burden. So you could leave a talk like this with all these 10 tips and feel really down and be like, I'm not doing enough. So if you feel that bubbling up inside of you as I'm talking today, just turn that away for the lie that it is. My intention today is to not overwhelm you or make you feel bad. It's just give you a little inspiration or a little, I don't know, sometimes we just need a little something new to keep us going as a mom, and sometimes just one little idea can be enough to kind of give us a little hope, a little perspective. So that is my goal for today. Most of these tips are geared towards younger kids, but if you have teens or older, or tweens or teens, then feel free to chat with me after. I'd be happy to talk to you about how to adapt these for older kids too. So when you want to help kids with big feelings, where do you start? So for me, it starts with the foundation, and that's building your child's emotional intelligence. So that's tip number 1. And this is simply our ability to identify and articulate our inner experiences. So the best way to start that with your children is to just start articulating your own experiences, saying, oh, I'm feeling excited. I think my insides are a little wiggly. So just by naming your own feelings, your own inner experiences, helps kids develop the language. It's also really helpful for kids to start to connect how their appearance may reflect their feelings. So you could say, oh, your mouth is turned down. Are you sad? Then if you get it wrong, it's okay if they correct you, because that means that they're learning. So why is it so important to help kids identify and articulate their feelings? Studies have found that when we name an uncomfortable feeling, it actually downregulates the activity in the threat center of our brain. So by simply naming a feeling, we can help our kids experience a sense of calm. One of the great tools for this is a feelings face poster. You can just Google this. There's a ton of resources out there. There's cartoon faces, real kid faces. And this is a great resource to hang in your hallway or on your refrigerator, and then you can just refer to it with your own emotions or ask your kids how they're feeling, and just to create this dialogue so they start to have more language to express those feelings. Another way to develop emotional intelligence is through story time. You wouldn't obviously want to do this every time you read a story, but once in a while, just point out a child's face. What do you think he's feeling? Or if you take it to the next level, you can ask, what do you think he's going to feel on the next page? Or what do you think he's going to feel when that happens? Just to help your children start to develop this curiosity and inquisitiveness about emotions. Tip number 2 is to teach them that all feelings are okay. So we know from the Bible that Jesus experienced a wide range of feelings. He felt sad when his friend died. He felt angry when people disrespected his Father's home, the temple. He felt joy when his disciples came back from a successful missions trip. We know that he felt loneliness when his friends abandoned him. He felt concern for his mom when he hung on the cross and told John to take care of her. So if Jesus, in his perfect state, can feel all these emotions, we can too. And while they're all okay and normal, it's what we do with them that sometimes can be the problem. So this sounds like, which I'm sure you've all done, it's okay to feel frustrated. It's not okay to hit your sister. So just helping kids to make that distinction between having the feeling and then doing something with it. So tip number 3 is to teach them that big feelings often show us what's inside of our heart. So we know from Matthew 12:34, which says, out of the heart the mouth speaks. We know that behaviors are often born out of the things that we hide inside of our hearts. So for our kids, this could be a really kind of curious and compassionate conversation that might ask questions like, I'm wondering if underneath that anger outburst, there was some jealousy or a little bit of pride. And to just explore this from a kind of a shared sinner standpoint. And you can say things like, when I'm angry, I sometimes say things that I regret later. I say mean things. And this is just in a way to create dialogue with your children so they can start to understand that their heart is sort of gives birth to their behaviors. And then this is a great way to create discipleship opportunities to talk to your children about Jesus is the one that can help them with the things that are in their heart. Tip number 4, study triggers that precede big feelings and meltdowns. So you'll want to put on your detective cap and try and figure out what is going on for your child before the meltdown happened. Were they feeling overwhelmed, overstimulated, maybe understimulated? Were they struggling with transitions? Are they having a hard time hearing the word no? So it can be helpful to observe this behavior over the course of a week or so. And there is a resource, not mine, but a link to one on the website that will help you kind of track behaviors over a period of time. And this will give you really beneficial information to know, okay, well, I'm noticing a theme. I'm noticing these behaviors happen under certain contexts. Big behaviors and big emotions can be rooted in vulnerabilities as well, being tired, being hungry, lonely. So paying attention to vulnerabilities and triggers can be really helpful to help your children and to help you intervene even before the emotional meltdown happens. Tip number 5 is to problem solve together in anticipation for potentially stressful events. I think moms, me maybe, are particularly optimistic. We think, this time's going to be different. It'll just be better than it was last time. But the likelihood is if we don't do something different, if we don't intervene and change things up, it'll probably happen the way it did before. So it's really helpful to be proactive and to ask your children, how are you feeling about going to this person's house or doing this activity? And then to just normalize, it's really normal to feel anxious when you're trying something new. And then the next questions help them really plan. What do you plan to do when you feel this way or when this thing happens? And then what can we do now to help prepare you for that then? Some kids really like role play, and so it's a good idea to kind of practice it ahead of time. Let's act out a scene that has happened in the past and kind of give them some skills in the moment. One thing we know to be true is that cognitions and emotion brain are inversely related. So when we're having an emotional reaction, our thinking brain is sort of offline. So that's not the time to teach your child a new skill. So it's so important to do it ahead of time and to role play and to give them the opportunity to practice it when those cognitions are high and the emotions are low. Tip number 6 is to narrate your own experiences with big feelings. So, for example, let's say you're in the car, you're on the way to an appointment, it's heavy traffic, someone cuts you off, you get really angry, but you kind of maintain it. You could let that moment go by, or you could really use it as a teaching opportunity and kind of just narrate what's happening for you. Ooh, I'm feeling really angry. I'm just going to let out a deep breath and let this feeling pass. And then maybe add, if your kids are older, that was anger, but I think underneath was worry because I don't want to be late for this appointment. So that's a great way for your kids to start to hear how emotions work and how emotion regulation can look when it's done well. But let's say you don't handle it so well, which happens. All is not lost. It can be really helpful for our kids to see a reparative moment happen in real time, for us to say something like, you know what, I didn't handle that very well. This is what I did wrong. This is what I could do differently, and this is what I plan to do next time. To give them that model of, you know what, this is not easy. You're not coming from a position of, oh, I've got this all figured out. This is hard for me too. But these are the skills that I'm working on to help me manage big feelings as well. Tip number 7 is to identify what calms them. So God gave us our senses so we can experience life to the fullest. And we can use all of our senses to calm our nervous system. Just like you would have your kids try out new foods, you can have them try out different sensory things. There is a link on my website to a resource that has 50 different sensory interventions based on our 5 senses that can help kids calm down. So you would want to try different things out. What smells do they like? What textures do they like? What music is calming for them? Maybe a particular prayer or a Bible verse. So again, you want to practice these in times of calm, not in the moment. Trying to give your child a new skill or something to try when they're already pretty emotionally dysregulated is not going to be all that successful. And keep in mind that some kids are going to be sensory seeking and some are going to be sensory avoiding. So sensory seekers are going to probably need more emotion and more activity and more physical movement in order to calm down. Sensory avoiders are going to need quiet and time alone to relax. So regardless of this, tip number 8 is to create opportunities to reset nervous systems throughout the day. This is for you too. God did design our bodies to need rest, and it's really easy to just be on the go all the time and to not really allow ourselves to have that nervous system reset. So this can be something really simple. After a trip to the grocery store, everybody gets in the car. I'll do a couple of deep belly breaths. Maybe you hand a dark blanket to your child during the day if they like to cuddle under something dark. This could be using some of those sensory things I mentioned in the previous tip. So a calm down box is another opportunity that you could create with your child using the things that are calming to them. Maybe you've heard of this tool, but there is a resource on my site that links to how to create this calm down box. And it'll have sensory, tactile objects in it, senses, maybe some music or something that they enjoy listening to, or a picture book. This would just be something that they'd have access to that they can use if they need one of these sensory resets during the day. I also like the idea of using some shared language with your child. The cup of feelings is a good analogy to help your kids really visualize what it's like to have their cup full of feelings, and then maybe they need a moment to drain it, to let those feelings out. There is another link on my site to how to do this activity with your kids. And then you get to use that analogy as well. You could say, you know what, my cup of feelings is really full right now. I need a moment to myself. Having this shared language with your children can be a really great way to help them see you modeling good emotion regulation and give them the tools to do that too. Tip number 9 is to pray with your children. So if you're a praying family, pointing your children to the Lord is such a wonderful way to help them learn of God's faithfulness in the hard times. So I love the idea of asking 2 questions. You could do this either at the beginning of the week or at the beginning of the day, and it would be, what are you excited about today? What are you looking forward to? And 2, what are you nervous about, or what do you think is going to be hard today? Asking those 2 questions gives you information that you can then pray about with your children. You can praise the Lord for the things they're excited about, and you can specifically pray for the things they're worried about. And if you document these, if you journal, then you have this sort of like tangible reminder when things get hard again. When they come home or at the end of the week, you can review and say, how did God show up for you? How did he answer those prayers? And having this tangible journal or some sort of reminder is a great way for us to remember what God's done. The Old Testament particularly talks a lot about remember what the Lord has done. There's a reason it's said so many times is because we tend to forget. We tend to forget what God has done. And there's a story in Joshua 4 that talks about Joshua leading the nation of Israel across the Jordan River on dry land, and he instructs the leaders of all the tribes to grab a stone from the river and make a monument on the other side. And he said, when your children ask you, what are these stones here for? You tell them what God did. And I think we can do the same thing in a journal or just something tangible that your kids can ask, what is this here for? And you can remind them, this is how God has shown up for us in the past, and we can trust him to be faithful in the future. So my last tip, definitely not least, is to memorize Bible verses with kids. So I did make a little tool for you guys if you're interested. It's a printable on my site that has some really kid-friendly Bible verses that you can print out, memorize together, tuck them in a lunchbox, tape them to a mirror, practice in the morning. You can practice on the way to school. But we know for a fact when we hide God's word in our heart, we have access to it whenever we want. So that's all the 10 tips. Keep in mind, you can do all of these. You can do more, and your kids still may have a meltdown. Sometimes the only way to the other side of a feeling is to go through it. So I'll leave you with just a couple of tips if you find that to be the case for yourself. 1, give your child a safe space to do it. 2, make sure you're calm and regulated yourself. If not, then step away, and it's really okay. 3, be respectful to those that are around you. That includes siblings, people in grocery stores, whatever it is. Keep in mind that you're in a context of other people, and don't reinforce the behavior with positive reinforcement. I think sometimes in our effort to join them and meet them and help them with their feeling, we can just feed it quite a bit with a lot of attention. So stay near, stay safe, and let them work it through. So I hope that was helpful for you guys today. I hope if nothing else, you just maybe took 1 or 2 things from it. And again, if you're starting to feel like, oh, this is too much, I don't do any of these things, I hope you'll just set that aside. And I'm happy to talk with you afterwards if you have any other questions. So thank you so much for having me. It was really great to be here.
We have a few extra minutes. Would you take some questions? Anybody have any questions for Laura before we do our table talk questions? Anything that you're struggling with that she might be able to help?
So I guess it depends on the age of your child. I mean, you could put them in a space that you know is safe for them, whether it's some sort of playpen or some sort of maybe even a crib. I don't know. You'd have to really know like what does the child's meltdown look like and what will it lead to, and then take a moment to calm yourself down. There are some really quick things that you can do to get your nervous system re-regulated. Jumping jacks is a really great thing. So when our nervous system is activated, it wants to do something. It's feeling this threat, this fight, flight, freeze thing. So we want to actually do something with all that nervous energy. So jumping jacks is good. Some people find it very effective to lay with their like butt against the wall and their legs up the wall. What that does is it forces all the blood back to your core. When we're in fight or flight mode, our body extremities get flooded with blood because we need to run, we need to flee. So we reverse that process by putting our feet up the wall, and it's really quickly regulating for many people. So those are two like really quick tips you could do if you find that you're kind of going over the edge. I think the other thing is to recognize your own vulnerabilities, your own triggers. And so throughout the day, like, have I eaten today? Have I had any water? Have I had a good night's sleep? Have I taken care of myself? You cannot, pour from an empty cup, they say. So making sure that you're really regulated throughout the day, taking your own sensory breaks, so you have the bandwidth and the capacity to really help a child when they need it. Yeah, so, right. No, I've had clients try it, and kids sometimes join with you. It's just sometimes breaks the moment. Yeah.
Okay, so you have 15 minutes for table talk. Okay, mamas. Did you have fun? All right, it's time to go to your book groups. We will see you, and I'll see you next week. Have a great day.